Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining my yoga class today. My name is Felipe, also known as Flip. Today, you'll be flowing with Flip. I invite you to begin in a seated, cross-legged pose, also known as Sukhasana. Sukhasana is more than just simply sitting with your legs crossed. We must lengthen the spine, create length from the tailbone all the way to the crown of our head. We have our hands placed on our knees, and we allow gravity to cascade our knees down towards the earth. We also begin to breathe. Yoga is more than just stretching. Breathing is the most intricate, delicate, and important part of yoga. So roll the shoulders back, creating space between the ears and the shoulders. Now let's begin to dial in the three-part breath, which is filling up the belly, then the ribs, then the chest in one fluid motion to allow the pranayama, the energy, to flow through your body. And with increased oxygen, you'll have increased energy flowing from the top of your head all the way to your toes. Inhale, filling up the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Pause at the top of your inhale and feel all that new oxygen. Exhale, letting all out negativity, toxicity. And at the bottom of your exhale, push your navel towards your spine. While you breathe, settle into your surroundings. See how your skin feels. Are you warm? Are you cold? What sounds can you hear? And try to drown them out. With your eyes closed, what are you looking at? Do you see anything with your eyes closed? I try to focus my sights in between my eyebrows. Also referred to as drishti, your third eye. In a Sukhasana position, you're also always welcome to sit on a bolster or a little block. This can create more space in the hips and allow your knees to fall further. Now switch your cross-legged fold so that the opposite leg is in front of the other. Striving for balance. How does that feel? Is there any different sensations in your hips, in your thighs, in your hamstrings, in your back from just that simple switch? And again, make one with your surroundings. As you ground in your roots, raise your elevation and your thoughts towards the sky, enlightening that crown chakra. With all the oxygen you just soaked in, bring it up to your crown chakra. Let it out, even with a fire breath if you want. and into your body. Listen to any signals it is sending you. If it tells you to avoid a certain posture, avoid it. Just know that you have to focus on it. Turn your weaknesses into opportunities. I invite you to bring hands to heart center. And after a nice deep inhale, we're going to have a collective Om from wherever you may be watching. Inhale. I invite you to remove the block and make your way onto all fours for a tabletop posture. Shoulders stacked over the elbows, elbows stacked over the wrists. Index fingers pointed directly towards the top of your mat, parallel with each other, and also parallel with the outsides of the mat. Elbows should be externally rotated with the eyes of the elbow pointed forward, keeping a micro bend in the elbow. Shoulders should be drawn down away from the ears. Notice they're not like this, they are drawn back and away from the ears. Your gaze should be in between your hands, and your knees should be stacked underneath your hips at hip width distance, also on the tops of your feet for a tabletop pose. Navel pressed towards the spine, and I will introduce Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi breath, also known as victory breath, is the ocean sounding breath. It should sound like wind whistling past your ears, and it should be a deep inhale through the nose, lasting about 4 seconds, with a pause at the top, and then an exhale through the nose, lasting about 4 seconds. So begin to tap into your Ujjayi breath during this tabletop pose. This will be the breath for the remainder of the practice. On your next inhale, raise your gaze, drop your belly, and bend at the middle back, also known as your thoracic. Avoid dumping in the lower back for a cow pose. Exhale, round your back, shift your gaze towards your thighs, and push away from the mat with your hands for an angry cat. This is known as the cat cow. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Ujjayi breath. Inhale to a cow. Hold it in. Exhale, cat. Now start to rotate your body as if it were within a Coca-Cola can. Rotate in the other direction. creating some lubrication and some fluidity in the shoulders and the back. Extend the right arm forward and the left leg back, keeping the left foot flexed. Exhale, bring the right elbow to the left knee. Inhale, extend right arm forward, left leg back. Exhale, bring the knee and the elbow together. Inhale, extend. Return to table pose. And extend that left arm and the right leg back, keeping the right foot flexed. And a long line of energy through your spine. Exhale, bring that left elbow to the right knee. Inhale, extend. Exhale, left elbow to the right knee. Return to tabletop pose. Bring your hips a little wider and your knees to hip width distance. Move your hands forward and shift your hips back to a child's pose. You're always welcome to flow into this posture whenever you feel you're short of breath. If you feel that one of the postures is uncomfortable for you, if your body is just simply telling you no, this is always an option. Knees open, shoulders away from the ears, forehead on the mat. That was just an introduction to child's pose. You're welcome to take it if at any time you feel that. Now return to a table pose. Move the hands slightly forward. Curl your toes and raise your hips up and back for the first downward facing dog. In this posture, imagine your hips being raised up towards the sky by a harness. Shoulders drawn away from the ears. Head hanging like a mango. Creating an A with your body. Welcome to walk out the downward dog, bending one knee, extending the other, and then bending the other knee and extending the other. This is your first downward dog. This is also known as an active recovery position. Slowly start to inch your hands back to meet your feet at the back of the mat. Once you reach your toes, bend your knees, round your spine, and slowly articulate vertebra by vertebra until you're all the way up. Roll those shoulders back. And then finally lift the head. Set your sights forward and begin to walk very slowly across your mat. Feeling the energy that's rising up through your body with every step. Once you reach the top of your mat, There's an option to stand with either with your toes together and your heels slightly apart, or with your feet hip width distance. Come into a mountain pose, focusing on rooting down on the four corners of your feet. Toes should be soft and able to wiggle them as they are not part of the roots. Activate those calves, your hamstrings, your thighs. Bring the tailbone in. Bring the navel towards the spine. Draw your shoulders down. And imagine you're holding two heavy buckets of water. Your palms are facing forward. Chin parallel with the earth. In a mountain pose. Inhale. Rise up to an extended mountain pose. Arms active. Imagine you're holding a ball of energy in between both hands and your shoulders are drawn away from your ears. Extended mountain pose. Exhale, hinging at the hips. Swan dive forward to a forward fold. Welcome to grab your elbows and move a little side to side and see how that feels in your hips, in your glutes, in your back. Bend the knees, fall a little further. Continue to sway. Place your hands on your upper shins, extend your arms, and create an L with your body for a halfway lift. Shoulders drawn away from the ears, gaze towards the earth. Navel towards the spine, micro bend in the knees. Exhale, place your hands on the mat on either side of your feet. Step the left foot back, step the right foot back. Plank pose. Same pada bandha as in tabletop posture. Exhale, lower halfway down to chaturanga. Inhale, roll your toes over to an upward facing dog. Knees off the ground, legs active on the tops of your feet. Drop the knees, roll the toes, and push your hips up and back for a downward facing dog. Remember Ujjayi breath. Here you have a couple of breaths to tap back in, refocus, re-energize. At the bottom of your next exhale, shift your gaze forward, bend your knees, and lightly step or float towards the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hinging at the hips, using your core. Fold up to a mountain pose. That was the Surya Namaskara A sequence. We will now repeat it with breath to movement. Inhale, rise up, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands on either side of the mat. Lightly step or float back into chaturanga. Exhaling. Inhale, roll to an upward facing dog. Avoid splaying the heels out. Drop the knees, roll the toes, and push your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Shoulders drawn away from the ears, head hanging like a mango, heels driving towards the earth, eyes of the elbows pointed forward. At the bottom of your next exhale, shift your gaze forward, bend your knees and lightly step or float to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up to a mountain pose. Inhale, extended mountain pose. Exhale, hands at heart center. Tap back in the Ujjayi breath. Inhale, bend your knees, drop your hips back, and raise your arms to a chair pose. Rotate the pinkies inward, long length. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Micro bending at the knees, creating an L with your body. Exhale, plant the hands on either side of your feet. Lightly step or float back. Exhale down to chaturanga. Roll over those toes. Inhale up to an upward facing dog. Exhale, drop the knees. Roll the toes. Raise the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. You can walk the dog a bit. Raise the right leg. Bring it between your hands. Drop the left heel down. Your back left foot should be pointed towards the top left corner of your mat. Hips should be pointed forward. You can place your hands on your hips, pushing your left hip forward and your right hip back. Raise your hands up. Warrior one. Rooting down on the outside edge of your back foot and keeping this knee at 90 degrees. Exhale, hands on either side of your feet. Step the right foot back. Exhale down, lower halfway down to chaturanga. Inhale, roll your feet over. Upward facing dog. Avoid splaying the heels. Roll over. Drop your knees. And push into a downward facing dog. Inhale, raise the left leg. Bring it between the two hands. Drop your right heel and raise up with your hips neutral. Front knee at 90 degrees. Both hips pointed towards the top of the mat. Hands up, tailbone tucked under, shoulders drawn away from the ears. Warrior one. Exhale, bring the hands down to the mat. Step the left foot back. Lower halfway down to chaturanga. Inhale, roll over, upward facing dog. Drop the knees, roll the toes, and push your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. At the bottom of your next exhale, shift your gaze forward, bend your knees, and lightly step or float to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands on the shins, arms extended, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, drop the hips, rooting down on the pada bandha of your feet. Pinkies rotated inward. If you look down, you should be able to see your toes and wiggle them. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, hinging at the hips, using the core. Return to a mountain pose. Inhale, rise up. Extended mountain pose. Exhale. Return hands to heart center. Bring your right foot back to the back of the mat. Preparing for a warrior two. Right foot and left foot should be perpendicular with the left heel crossing the right sole with the right foot pointed towards the side of the mat. Hips should be open and face towards the right side of your mat. Focus on keeping 90 degrees on your left foot and keep your gaze over your left middle finger. Drop your left hand to the right side of your left foot and reach your right hand up to the sky. Creating length. Drop the right arm. Return to warrior two. Keep your torso perpendicular with the earth. Place your right elbow on your left thigh and reach over your body, keeping your gaze on your right middle finger. Don't forget to breathe. Rainbow back the other way, placing your hand on your hamstring, extending that left leg, and keeping your gaze over your left middle finger. Bend back into a warrior two. Extend that left leg and slowly heel toe the right foot to shorten the distance. Reach forward as if you were trying to grab something with your right hip going back, and drop down for a pyramid pose, for a triangle pose, excuse me. Rise up. Turn your feet forward as if they were on train tracks, and fold forward with your hips neutral towards a pyramid pose. Micro bend in the left knee. Dial in that ujjayi breath. Raise up. And bring that right knee forward. Place it on your thigh or on your calf, but not on your knee. And bring your hands to heart center. Now bring your left elbow over your right, and then hook your palms and rise up. Raise your shoulders up, keeping your head still. Release the grasp. Bring your hands to heart center and drop your foot down. Take that left foot back, preparing for warrior two. Right knee at 90 degrees. Right heel intercepting the left sole, perpendicular, rooting down on the outside edge of your left foot, and your hips pointed towards the left side of your mat. Hands rise up. Focus on your right middle finger, keeping your torso perpendicular with the earth. Warrior two. They call it the warrior because you're battling a lot of things: fatigue in your arms, in your legs, in your hips, keeping the breath together. Exhale, place the right elbow on the right thigh. Reach over and focus your gaze on your left middle finger. Rainbow out. Extend the right leg and shift over and look over to your right middle finger. Rotate back in to a warrior two. Extend the right leg. Heel toe your left foot to shorten the gap between your feet. Reach forward with your right hand, reaching back with your hip. And move into a triangle pose. Inhale, rise up. Shift your left foot forward so that your feet are on train tracks. And hinging at the hip, fold forward for a pyramid pose. Keeping a micro bend in the right knee as well as the left. Inhale, rise up. And step. Bring your knee up. Place it on your thigh or your calf, but not your knee. Bring your hands to heart center. Tree pose. Now bring your right arm over your left and hook your palms. Raise the shoulders. You should feel that stretching out your upper back and your shoulders. Release the grip. Hands to heart center. And drop your foot back down to a mountain pose with hands at heart center. Begin to raise your right foot and hinging at the hip, keeping the right toe pointed left. Fold forward for a warrior three pose. Maintaining Pada Bandha in your left foot, your right foot flexed. Extend your arms forward if your practice allows it. And return to center. Shift your weight towards your right foot and lift your left. And keeping that left toe pointed towards the right, hinging at the hip, micro bend in the right knee, fold forward to warrior three. Left foot flexed. Extend the arms if your practice allows it. And return to heart center. Inhale, raise your hands, drop your hips, bend your knees into a chair pose. Above your head, place your palms together, and on an exhale, bring your right elbow to the left side of your left knee for a twisting chair pose. Avoid dumping in the right shoulder. Your hands should be at your sternum. Your knees should be together. Inhale back to a chair pose. Hands together. Exhale, left elbow, right side of your right knee. And twist to the right. Keeping the left knees together. Not dumping in the lower shoulder. Inhale, release the grasp. Turn to a chair pose. Slowly lower yourself down. Roll onto your back. Take a couple of deep inhales. And exhales through the mouth. Stack your feet underneath your knees. Extend your feet forward, palms towards the sky. And raise your back off the ground for a boat pose. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, go down. Inhale, raise up. Shoulders down, away from the ears. Long back. Exhale, down. Inhale, rise up. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1. Bend the knees and stack your feet underneath your knees. Place your palms down on the ground. And with your knees at hip width distance, pointing directly forward, root down on your feet to raise your hips up underneath your back. Interlace your fingers and drop your chin down to your sternum for a bridge pose. Release the grip, raise your heels, and slowly articulate your back down to the mat, starting at the upper back, the middle back, and the lower back. You can bring your block underneath and place it underneath your tailbone. And again, rise up. And lower back down. And this time, shoot your legs directly up towards the sky for a very passive inversion, which will allow all the old blood from your legs to come back into your torso. You're welcome to move your legs around. Again, this is a very passive inversion. Should almost feel good. Turn your feet to the mat. Raise your hips. Remove the block. Raise your heels. And slowly articulate back to the mat. Bring your knees to your chest and give yourself a big hug. Kiss your knees. Bring your shoulders back down to the mat. Bring your elbows inside of your knees and grab the outside edges of your feet and rock back so that your shoulders are grounded and your tailbone is grounded. Pushing into your hands with your feet and pulling into your feet with your hands. Establish the victory breath, Ujjayi. Welcome to rock side to side, massaging that lower back. Release the grip. Bring your knees to 90 degrees. Bring your right arm to the side. And we're going to stack our body with our knees together. Welcome to place a block in between your knees and your hands together. And we're going to open up the left arm and for a twist. Keep the left shoulder grounded. During the twists, you can let go of the Ujjayi breath and tap back into your normal breath. And just try to flow deeper on in the exhales. Roll back over to meet the right hand with your left. Remove the block. Shift over to your back. Massage your lower back. And shift over to the left. Stacking your whole body. And then rotating that right arm across so that it's grounded. It's okay to breathe normally now during the twist portion. Roll back over. Stack your body, your arms, your knees. Remove the block. Roll back over to your mat. And do one long body stretch. Extending your arms up, keeping your shoulders down away from your ears. Pressing your lower back towards the earth. Engaging in your thighs, hamstrings, calves, feet flexed. Bring your hands to the side of your body and melt into a shavasana posture, corpse pose. Let your body melt as it may. Let your shoulders fall away from your ears. Let your feet flop to either side. And relax. Just give your body all the attention that it needs, that it deserves. See if your body feels any different than it did before the practice. Set your sights on that third eye in between your eyebrows, your drishti. Start to wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. Bring the sensation back into your hands and your feet, into your legs, into your torso. Bring your knees up 90 degrees and roll over to your right side while extending your right arm up, resting your head on your right bicep for a fetal position. A baby about to be reborn. Place your left hand on the earth and push your way up into a sukhasana, seated cross-legged posture. Slowly open the windows of your eyes, and I welcome you back into the now. Bring your hands together at heart center, and thank you for allowing me to guide your practice today, and thank you for flowing with Flip. Namaste. Have a nice day.